have the same, have sufficient food, number one, at the price that they can afford.
The new administration borrowed targets set by former Secretary William Dar and inspired by a program implemented by former President Ferdinand E. Marcos, targeting bountiful harvests of as much as 200 sacks of rice per hectare. Under the Masagana 200 program, farmers planting hybrid rice are expected to yield 10 tons per hectare and make a 70,000 peso profit. Current production is at 4.2 tons per hectare.
Yung sinasabi niyang Masagana 150, ang target mo is 7 tons per hectare. Sa ngayon, imposible siyang mangyari unless maganda yung makukuha mong seeds and then talagang bugbog sa support ang rice farmers. Magsisimula yun pag maganda yung inputs mo. And unfortunately, sa ngayon, marami talagang laganap yung fake fertilizers.
The Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura laments the proliferation of fake or substandard fertilizers which do not have the proper level of chemicals needed to enrich rice production. The group says it is preparing complaints before the DA. Food Security Advisor Manny Piñol has another suggestion.
Saan ba yung merong excess production sa rice? Saan ba yung capable producing more chicken? And then we come up with a logistical arrangement or network.
It all boils down to funding.
Taniman ngayon, so kailangan ng farmers murang fertilizer. Sobrang mahal ng fertilizer ngayon. So ang immediate na pwedeng magawa is subsidize o bigyan ng discount ang mga farmers para they can buy more fertilizers.
The DA was allotted 102 billion pesos for 2022, just 2% of the national budget. Sinag says it should be doubled to hit at least 5% of total funding. The president also wants a long-term plan for agriculture development. But how do experts define success?
That's how we measure success. Mapababa mo yung cost of production at mapababa yung presyo. Ultimately, mababa presyo sa palengke.
Melissa Lopez, CNN Philippines.
While consumers dig deep into their pockets for food, motorists and public utility drivers get little reprieve this week. Oil companies slashed diesel prices by 3 pesos per liter. Kerosene, which many households use, will have an even bigger price cut at 3 pesos and 40 centavos per liter, while gasoline prices are steady. Recent numbers from the Energy Department show fuel prices have risen to up to 99 pesos as of end June. But the rollback doesn't mean drivers no longer need help. Thousands of tricycle drivers have yet to receive the promised fuel subsidy from the past Duterte administration. George Quiles tells us what went wrong.
It's been a long day of work for tricycle driver Manuel Traballo so as to earn and feed his family. With the soaring oil prices, the promised help from the national government should somehow help them get by.
Napakahirap. Hindi ka mukha dati kasi saglit lang namin kinikita 1,000, 500. Ngayon kasi napagkahirap dahil sa pagtaas ng gasolina natin.
But Traballo may have to wait a bit longer as the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board returned the list of beneficiaries to the Interior Department. LTFRB Executive Director Tina Casion says the names and mobile numbers of some tricycle drivers and operators mismatched. Mobile numbers serve as account numbers for e-wallets like GCash and Maya. This is why the Land Bank of the Philippines did not release the fuel subsidy for tricycle drivers and operators through e-wallets. In Quezon City, they submitted over 42,000 names of drivers and operators. The local government has a hunch on why there's a mismatch with the names and account details of beneficiaries.
Naka-encounter din kami, most especially po yung mga driver po na medyo senior na, wala po talagang mga cellphone. Kailangan po nila mag-submit talaga eh. So siguro po ang binigay po nila yung sa anak nila, yung sa kamag-anak po nila, which is so in my opinion po, mag-mismatch talaga.
While it may take a while to correct the problem before beneficiaries actually receive the subsidy from the national government, here comes the local government of Quezon City saying it will start distributing its own fuel subsidy to tricycle drivers and operators.
Through flip cards na po siya, worth 1,000 pesos din, pero nakalagay na po yung plate numbers po ng mga motor. So every time po na may fuel subsidy si city government, doon na po ipapasok.
The distribution of Quezon City fuel subsidy will start on Thursday. George Cahiles, CNN Philippines.
A lawmaker proposes the realignment of funds under the proposed 2023 national budget to provide fuel subsidies for public utility vehicle drivers and agricultural workers. Davao City 3rd District Representative Isidro Ungab is looking to study which projects may be set aside under the National Expenditure Program to be submitted by Malacanang. This, as he insists, giving cash aid is better than suspending the excise fuel tax.
Suspending the excise tax is like killing the goose that laid the golden eggs. No? Yung ating excise tax are giving very good revenues to the government, about 100 to 200 billion per year. Pag-aralan mo na kasi hindi pa natin nakita yung budget. So in the past there were some excess fats. So yun yung pwede mong tingnan kung may possibility ba na magbawas ka doon. Or postpone some projects.
President Marcos earlier said he would prefer to give aid than suspend excise taxes amid the fuel crisis. President Marcos holds his first cabinet meeting 5 days after taking office. The Marcos portfolio is still incomplete with 6 key positions waiting to be filled. Let's bring Rex Remedia live from Malacanang for the details. Rex, what is the focus of the meeting?
Well, first, economy, second, education, and third, food security. The economic team first presented an outlook of the economy. Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte then gave her ideas on how will be the implementation of the full face-to-face classes will be next semester. President Marcos also gave a background on what will be his general directives to agriculture officials are to ensure food security. The president himself admitted they were not able to cover everything after they met for 4 hours. That's why he and his cabinet are planning to meet twice to thrice a week. In his first press briefing as president, he emphasized the importance of making sure there's enough food supply at affordable prices. He is concerned about rising food prices, saying that many factors are out of their control. Although he says the country has enough food supply, the chief executive says they're still preparing for possible food shortages and higher prices. A journalist also asked President Marcos about the inflation rate of 6.1 last month. The number is higher than the government's target of 2 to 4%. And here is his response.
I think that I will have to disagree with that number. We are not that high. We have crossed our targets were less 4% or less. Unfortunately, it looks like we may cross that threshold. Tatawid tayo sa 4%.
The president meanwhile said there's no need to import more rice and corn to stabilize prices locally. He says he wants to boost local production this planting season instead. The chief executive, however, emphasized that there's a need to import more pork and chicken. Pork because the country is short on supply due to the African swine fever. Chicken because he says local supply is not sufficient. Although we have yet to know if these measures are enough and can make it on time to temper rising food prices. Back to you, Pia.
Rex, I understand the president planning to start full face-to-face classes by November. Can you tell us more about this?
Well, President Marcos says that Vice President Duterte announced during the cabinet meeting that she seeks to implement the resumption of full face-to-face classes by November. And this will be the first time that full face-to-face classes will be held since the pandemic began in March 2020. And it will start in phases starting September. Pia.
The President, Rex, set to meet with the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. What is the purpose of that meeting?
Well, President Marcos says that the purpose of the meeting is to further strengthen the ties between the Philippines and China, and that they're working to resolve the differences of two countries when it comes to the ongoing territorial disputes in the West Philippine Sea. And that he also wants to have more exchanges with China, such as cultural, educational, and even military. Pia.
Rex Remito there, giving us the latest from Malacanang. When we come back, booster vaccinations underway for healthy minors in Metro Manila. A look at the situation on the ground with Caroline Bonkin. And are we seeing another collab between Filipino singer James Reid and South Korean artists? Stay tuned to Newsnight here on CNN Philippines.
SMC San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement. Gama sa Davao, para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement. Ato ni Bay. SMC San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement. Gama sa Davao, para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement. Ato ni Bay.
Ito ang RPN, Radio Philippines Network, DXKT 1071 sa inyong mga radyo, ang Radyo Ronda sa Davao.
without underlying illnesses may now get their COVID-19 booster shots. The health department says local governments may begin rolling out boosters for the age group as soon as they're ready. Caroline Bonkin checked the situation at a vaccination site here in Metro Manila.
12-year-old Angela Nilo was accompanied by her mother to Don Alejandro Roses Senior High School in Quezon City on Tuesday to get her COVID-19 booster shot. She completed her first 2 doses in December.
Of course, I don't only think about myself, I think about my parents, you, and the rest of the people in this country that could be put at stake.
Quezon City started giving out boosters to 12 to 17-year-olds on July 1st. Walk-ins are allowed as long as they present birth certificate, parent and vaccinees IDs, and a medical certificate if one has existing illness. They should also be fully vaccinated for a minimum of 5 months. The first week of providing booster shots here is not as busy as when the kids got their first and second doses.
5 months din kasi ma'am ang interval between the primary and the second and the first booster. So it might be a factor po.
Most of the vaccinees in the morning are age 5 to 11, many of them completing 2 doses. Inoculating this age group has been lagging. Of the 10.9 million target, Health Department's data show 6 million eligible children under 12 are still unvaccinated nationwide. According to some parents whose children have just completed their vaccines, they chose to wait.
Hesitant po ako to do the vaccine, but then just because may nakita naman po ako na close to us na medyo okay po, parang for na rin po na effective naman yung vaccine. So, I decided.
Pag mag-face-to-face, kailangan din fully vaccinated. Saka sasakit din.
A doctor in charge of vaccination in Quezon City says she hopes the Education Department will help encourage more students to get inoculated. While not mandatory, she says being vaccinated will help protect students, especially with COVID-19 cases on the rise again.
Because pag nagkaroon po ng infection within the family, lahat damay eh. So dapat yung 5 to 11 are also protected.
Booster shots for adolescents in Quezon City will be given in malls beginning Thursday. Health officers are hoping this will encourage more parents and teenagers to get the additional dose. Caroline Bongkin, CNN Philippines.
The COVID-19 pandemic has forced another school to close its doors for good. Kalayaan College in Quezon City is shutting down after 22 years. It says the board of directors decided to end operations because of financial losses brought by declining student population and challenges caused by the pandemic. The decision will be final after it is ratified by a majority of stockholders. Kalayaan College was founded in year 2000 by professors of the University of the Philippines, led by former UP President Jose Abueva. It is a private, non-sectarian institution committed to delivering UP quality education. In other news, the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology admits drug pushers are finding more ways to smuggle illegal drugs into their facilities. Chrissy Di Matulak reports this comes as authorities work to decongest jails.
Jail facilities in the country are still congested, but figures show an improvement compared to pre-pandemic times. In an interview with CNN Philippines on Tuesday, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology spokesperson Jail Superintendent Xavier Solda said, the country's jails still face a congestion rate of 397%. According to Solda, the country currently has 476 jail facilities, 336 of which are full. The BJMP admits there is still a long way to go before most jails become decongested, but it says things are a lot better now compared to the situation in 2017.
Kung titingnan natin yung datos natin sa nakalipas na 5 taon, halimbawa noong 2017, pumalo sa 612% ang nationwide congestion rate natin. At sa kasalukuyan ay 397% na lamang. Malaking factor dito yung mga bagong pasilidad na ginawa ng BJMP mula sa pondo na ibinigay from the national government.
Aside from building more jails, the BJMP is also trying to put a stop to another problem, the smuggling of illegal drugs into their facilities.
Sa nakalipas na 2 taon dahil nga sa pandemya at wala ng face-to-face na visitation, pinapayagan natin ang mga paabot at doon tayo nakakakita, iniipit sa tinapay, hinahalo sa cake, hinahalo sa ulam, at iba't ibang mga pamamaraan makapagpuslit lamang ng illegal na droga sa mga facilities natin. Kaya yun talaga yung binabantayan ng BGMP.
In his first media briefing, Interior Secretary Benher Abalos said that in his first 100 days in office, he would conduct surprise visits in jails to ensure that they are free from illegal drugs. He said he would also require inmates and jail personnel to undergo drug tests. BJMP officials said they welcomed the plans of Abalos, saying that these would help them create better policies and guidelines. They would also need assistance from local government units on how to reintegrate inmates back to communities once they have served their sentence. In the meantime, the Philippine National Police said it will intensify intelligence monitoring and take necessary steps to prevent drug syndicates from reviving their illegal trade. Chrissy Di Matulak, CNN Philippines.
Senator Mig Zubiri, who is poised to become Senate President, meets with several senators led by his colleague Cynthia Villar. These senators include her son, Mark Villar, presidential sister, Amy Marcos, Bato de la Rosa, Bongo, Francis Tolentino, and Robin Padilla. Zubiri says they discussed boosting economic recovery and the education sector. Villar earlier gave way to Zubiri in the Senate presidency race. Zubiri is Senate President pro tempore, serving as officer in charge of the chamber until the 19th Congress opens on July 25th. Zubiri has committed to form a supermajority in the Senate. Global headlines now. Major shootings unfolding, beginning with the United States, where police have arrested a person of interest in the U.S. state of Illinois. The suspect was identified as Robert Primo, who opened fire from a rooftop during a 4th of July parade on Monday. At least 6 people were killed and dozens critically injured in Highland Park. In Europe, a suspect has been remanded into a psychiatric facility after killing 3 people at a shopping mall in the Danish capital, Copenhagen, over the weekend. The 22-year-old Danish man charged with manslaughter will remain in the facility for 24 days. Police said the gunman was known to psychiatric professionals. Trending stories coming up. Is there hope for another collab between James Reid and a K-pop artist? Netizens seem to think so after the star was photographed with a GOT7 member. And this one's for NGenes, or fans of the hit K-pop group ENHYPEN. Did I say that right? Their comeback mini album Manifesto Day 1 is finally here. Details when we come back.
SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement. Gama sa Davao para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement. Ato ni Bay SMC. San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement. Gama sa Davao para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement. Ato ni Bay.
Ito ang RPN, Radio Philippines Network, DXKT 1071 sa inyong mga radyo, ang Radyo Honda sa Davao.
At any of the 30 partner establishments nationwide.
Welcome back. Sports news first. The Philippine football team is off to a great start in this year's AFF Women's Championship. The Filipinas scored a phenomenal upset against world number 12 Australia last night at the Rizal Memorial Stadium in Manila. Sabrina Bolton made the breakthrough goal for the team for the 1-0 victory. But in the next game, head coach Alan Stajic hopes to see more fans in the stands.
We've got 4 games left in the group and semis and finals to come, and if we make it that far. So, this team really deserves a sellout. We need to do everything we can to pack this stadium out and give these players the love they deserve.
The Filipinas are playing against Singapore tomorrow at 7 p.m. Netizens are speculating another K-pop collaboration from James Reid soon, with recent social media posts showing the Pinoy singer with big names in the industry, James and actress Liza Soberano, who is now under Reid's agency Careless Music, were spotted visiting Starship Entertainment. The Korean music label launched popular groups like IVE and Monster X. A friend also posted a photograph of Reid with Bam Bam of GOT7. Reid has worked with another member of the boy group before, releasing Hello with JB back in March. And taking over Twitter trends, a new record and music video from K-pop sensation ENHYPEN. The K-pop group dropped its 6-track mini album Manifesto Day 1 yesterday. A music video for the lead single Future Perfect, Pass the Mic, was also released. Now it has over 5 million views on YouTube. Take a look. In January, ENHYPEN broke the Billboard record for most tracks to make it on its Hot Trending Songs chart, with 6 titles on the list. And that is it for now. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Hontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.